They said I was too old to remember, too fragile to notice the papers they made me sign, or the whispers that followed every time I left the room. But I remember everything. My name is Evelyn Parker. I'm 78 years old, a retired nurse, and a widow for nearly 2 decades. My husband used to say, "A sharp mind is a blessing, Evelyn. Never let it dull." But my children thought I had already lost mine. It started small. They stopped inviting me to family dinners. My son Marcus took over my mail, said it was too much paperwork for me. My daughter-in-law changed the locks, claiming it was for safety. Safety? From who? One morning, I woke up to find my favorite photo, the one of John and me dancing in the kitchen, missing. In its place was a clean spot on the wall and a faint mark where the frame had hung for years. That's when I knew something was terribly wrong. Weeks later, Marcus handed me a stack of papers. "It's just insurance stuff, Mom," he said. I trusted him, I always did. But when my friend from church, a retired paralegal, came to visit, she looked at those papers and went silent. "Evelyn, these aren't insurance papers. These are property transfer forms." My hands trembled. My son had made me sign away my house, the one John and I built with our own hands. My name was gone. His name was there. And that was the day I decided they were wrong about me. I might be old, but I was not done yet.
For more real stories of pain, truth, and redemption, subscribe now and hit the bell icon. Your support keeps these voices alive.
After that day, something in me shifted. The tears stopped, and my mind began to work again. Quietly, carefully. I might have lost my house on paper, but not my dignity. I began writing things down, dates, times, names. Every visit, every strange phone call Marcus made when he thought I wasn't listening. My friend Gloria helped me understand each legal word, every signature, every clause they tried to hide. They thought I was forgetting, but I was documenting. I hid my notes inside my old recipe book, the one they never touched because they didn't like old people food. Each page had a secret, my quiet rebellion baked between apple pies and cornbread. I wasn't just cooking anymore. I was building evidence. One Sunday, Marcus came over all smiles. He said they were planning to move me into assisted living. My heart sank, but I smiled back, because by then I had already called someone he didn't expect. My late husband's lawyer, Mr. Hayes. Mr. Hayes came quietly, pretending to be an old friend from church. We talked at the kitchen table, just like old times. He looked at the documents I'd saved and whispered, "Evelyn, you still own this house. They filed the wrong transfer." I almost laughed. After all their lies, after all their games, my son's greed had outsmarted himself. He forged my name on one page, but forgot the witness signature. That mistake meant everything. And that was my opening, my moment to take back everything they stole. I may have been 78, but I was about to teach them a lesson they'd never forget, one only a mother and a survivor could deliver.
For more real stories of pain, truth, and redemption, subscribe now and hit the bell icon. Your support keeps these voices alive.
The day of reckoning came on a warm Thursday afternoon. Marcus and his wife came smiling through the door, talking about packing up my memories. But this time, I was ready. I asked them to sit down, right where their father once sat when he built this home. I served tea, my hands steady for the first time in months. Then, I slid the envelope across the table. "You both should read this," I said softly. It was a letter from my lawyer. The first line made Marcus choke on his tea. "This property remains under the legal ownership of Mrs. Evelyn Carter." He turned pale, stuttering, asking what this meant. "It means," I whispered, "you can't sell what was never yours." The silence that followed was heavy as thunder. They looked at each other, two greedy souls trapped by their own lies. I stood up slowly, every joint aching, but my spirit unbroken. "You both will leave this house today, because from now on, this home is going to someone who remembers kindness." I had already signed it over to the local orphanage in my husband's name. Marcus shouted, begged, even cried, but I just looked at him. The boy I raised, the man I no longer recognized. Sometimes justice doesn't roar. It whispers, softly through a mother's final act of truth. Weeks later, I sat on my porch, watching children play in the yard that once held only betrayal. Their laughter replaced the lies, and for the first time in years, I felt peace. I might have been too old to fight their way, but I remembered everything, and that memory became my justice.